We're going to focus on Aaron Plessinger, the eventual winner of San Diego, because he was the guy making the biggest moves, the Cowboy. So pumped for him to get his first win in Supercross. He is this rider right here on the starting gate. Watch what that bike does. What is he doing? He is unloading the rear wheel and doing a burnout on this metal ramp. And I'm sure that's getting ready to just tear those knobbies right off, because that stuff is already so rough, because it's like, it's a grate. It's not concrete. Normally you see a lot of guys do this for concrete so that they'll get more stickiness to it. Here, I haven't seen it done on the grates before, because this is really just going to tear the tire up completely. Watch him do it again. It's a total tell of what he's doing. And he ended up getting a good start and winning the race. So are we going to see more riders start doing this technique? Very, very interesting. If we move on to some of the lines that he was doing, he was the first rider that I saw actually put together some rhythms with the mud. Here, this is right before the whoops. He's going to double, then triple, and then in the whoops, he's going to double, 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 and then triple out. Very smooth. It made it look as if there really wasn't that much mud, and this is why he was so consistent and so fast in the mud, because he was able to consistently hit these lines where other riders were having to roll a bunch of these lines. Down here, you'll see him in how he passed Kenny, as he's going to go double, double, then wheel tap, triple, double, double through the whoops while Kenny is struggling. Very consistent, and it just brought back, this is a Woods rider, abso-effing-lutely in his element, just putting on a clinic. The last bit that I saw him do that no other rider was doing was right after the whoops. A lot of guys were going to roll, then step on, which they started to after a while, but normally guys would just roll, tabletop. Well, watch what Aaron does. It's nothing special, but in the mud, it is special. Very fast. Come out to the inside of the whoops, because the whoops are at a 90, so this is just the shortest line here. And he's going to roll, then he's going to seat bounce, accelerate, and step over, where a lot of guys were just landing on top and then having to roll off. Just fast, which helped him get to the finish line first. On the topic of amazing lines of the best riders in the world, it reminds me of a quote that I read recently that states, are people just generally more talented than you, or are they better prepared than you? And yeah, for the majority, we are the rule, not the exception. And I want to introduce you guys to Complete Racing Solutions Express Training Program, where you'll get all the performance, nutrition, functional training, mental development, live webinars, and partnership discounts available from his members on his website. All you have to do is go to CompleteRacingSolutions.com and click on subscribe. And the biggest save of the night goes to Chase Sexton in his heat race. He was in full defense mode for this race and ultimately ended up finishing 8th place overall, and he's still second in the championship. So he's keeping the points alive with just 1 point behind his teammate, AP. Roger Cosser has to be happy, has to be proud. KTM is definitely doing well this year for Supercross. I digress. Watch Sexton as he has his hole shot button already compressed, and he decides to wheelie over. I believe the down rider is Drake, and luckily he didn't land on Drake's head, but that could have definitely taken him out, because for one, if you're going to roll down and you're going downhill and you hit somebody, you're probably going to endo or at least tip over. And not to mention when your suspension can't move either because the front end is down, well, he's got to preload and accelerate to just barely get over him. That was such a smart thing to do on the fly. I give it up to Chase for having the intuition to just keep it WFO. Now let's watch from a closer angle, and we can see the front end being locked with the hole shot device and him still just jumping over And finally, the hard case popped that sucker up there. My personal opinion is we should be able to collectively come up with a better way of going about these hole shot devices to where they don't get stuck in Supercross, because this happens every single race, and sometimes it puts riders in a precarious situation where it is just a safety issue. And especially with the metal grate for the starting grid, maybe there could be something where the sport decides to remove them altogether and keep the starting blocks to make it a little bit more strategic and skill-wise for the start. I don't know. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. But yeah, this stuff happens all the time where riders enter rhythm sections with that front end locked down. But it's something where they're not going to give it up unless everyone is giving it up, because you're taking away a big advantage to starting if you're starting without that hole shot device. Sexton still had some considerably impressive lines himself. This is that rhythm section before the whoops. He's going roll, roll, double, and then doubling into the whoops, actually landing in one of the starting whoops into the section. However, this was still an intuitive line to go roll, double, and then double, and literally jump into the whoops. And then he continues to go double, double, double. It's not near as fast as AP's line, but still, it's good enough to point out that Chase has the forethought to try to turn jumps that typically aren't meant to be doubles into doubles. We're going to briefly transition to the manual kickstart of Ken Roczen as he jumps across the starting line. And watch as he sits down. He's not going to sit down on front of the bike. He's going to sit down in the middle of the bike to keep his weight centered, because he's not going to need to really dive that back end to try to drift the ass end around. And he is going to drag the rear brake and coast into this corner, so he's still going in with good speed. And halfway through, he's going to actually let off of that rear brake. So here, we'll watch it. And you can see him make the transition. So he's not coming to a complete stop. He's using roll speed. And Kenny's very good at looking fast by just being smooth and keeping his momentum up. So here it comes in here, sticks leg out, dragging that rear brake, gets off that rear brake, and then starts accelerating. You can see the elbow drop just briefly. We'll watch that one more time, and we'll move into the next corner, because the next corner is something that I also want to point out, because Kenny is just good at not using a whole lot of energy. He's not one of these riders that is super flashy. He's just very efficient at what he does. So here, coming into this right-hander, watch him as he just keeps his feet on the pegs, but he lifts up just enough at the end so that his foot doesn't get dragged down. As soon as he feels that that foot peg is starting to have some resistance with connecting with the dirt, just lifts that foot off and then sticks the leg out, where normally you would already have that leg out as soon as you sat down. Inside leg out. Not Kenny. Impressive. And last, Joe Shimoda, who got an awful start. I want you to notice how close his clutch lever is to the inside of the crossbar here, so it's not sticking out very far. And as he pulls in the clutch, because you can see, like, normally a lever would be out to here, but he's doing the jet technique. And maybe this is something that he's learned being on Honda with those Lawrence brothers, is to do this. However, watch him load the motorcycle where he grabs the clutch and then he goes, rah, 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 rah. And to me, it is a bad technique. Look at him as he's feathering that sucker. Like he's just inching to go. He's a dog in a cage that's just like, let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go. And if you're not timing it right, where you're going, let me go, let me go, let me go, and it drops right as you are going, let me, well, you're going to get a bad start. And that's exactly what he does. He ended up getting cross-rutted, which didn't help the whole scenario, which made him get an even worse start because now he's way in the back here because he got cross-rutted. I feel as if it's being too fidgety on the starting gate. Like, you need to be relaxed. Yeah, you can pump yourself up. I would suggest, and this is for the viewers out there too, when you're starting, don't load this. Yes, it has a little bit of user preference. I would say you're just trying to be fluid and you're trying to just ready, set, boom, go, boom. Not practice back and forth. Yeah, do this, but not when the gate's about to drop, maybe as you're doing a burnout. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching the videos. It is helping this channel grow, and it's a community, and we're just trying to give some positivity, teach people how to ride, and give these guys some giant kudos because they are the best in the world, and also help out some of the privateers that are still the 1%. They're just not the 1% of those 1%. But I am digressing. Till next time, keep it WFO. Bra-da-da-da. Oh, and stay tuned for the live podcast Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.